internet friend. It's me again, Joe Fritz, aka Paraptor Keat, and just continuing my adventure down this wonderful game that I love, Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Let's see what the Elder God has to say.
Beyond the ruins of your former stronghold, and above the gardens of the dead, your brother Melchiah waits.
Okay, so he's just giving me tips on where to find Melchiah, which I've already found out where he is. So, the last two episodes I didn't get a chance to talk about the wonderful voice acting of Michael Bell, who plays Raziel, and he is just an amazing voice actor who was in literally every cartoon from the 80s. Like Smurfs, G.I. Joe, just everything. Everything. You just could not escape him if you were a child in the 80s. Alright, and I'm just taking a quick shortcut, taking advantage of all these shortcuts that I unlocked to get back to where Melchiah is. And of course, anytime you start the game, you start in the Elder God's chamber. So you kind of have to make sure you're getting all of those fast travel areas to save yourself some time. Make sure you're unlocking all of the shortcuts, you know. It's kind of like Dark Souls in that way. Now, some of these enemies respawn and some of them don't. It's very weird. I think they just picked and chose which enemies would come back and which ones wouldn't, just to make backtracking a little bit more manageable, just more, less annoying. Whee! Whoop. So yeah, I think they just wanted to make sure backtracking wasn't as bad, because this, like I said, this is a Metroidvania game. We're gonna unlock some special abilities. We're gonna meet our brother Melchiah now.
Show yourself, creature.
Do you not recognize me, brother? Am I so changed?
Melchiah?
Yes, brother. You should have stayed where the Master sent you, Raziel. You will find Nosgoth less pleasant than you remember.
What has become of my clan? Answer me, little brother, or I will beat an answer from your horrid lips.
Everyone is afraid, sibling. You awake to a world of fear. These times of change are so unsettling. Do you think I feel no revulsion for this form? Do you believe for a moment that our Lord would risk his empire upon an upstart inheritance?
Enough riddles. What are you saying?
You are the last to die.
Alright, he got real ugly over the years. Changed a lot. Not that Raziel hasn't changed himself, but you're going to see this a lot. The monsters just get more and more, crazy and inhuman as we go on. I forgot how to get into these rooms for a bit, so I just kind of fast forwarded here to to the part where I figured it out. Yeah, I haven't played this game in quite a while. I kept telling myself, like, oh no, it'll be fine. You'll remember all these places. You used to play this game once a year. You should know it like the back of your hand. And there's so much I forgot. It's insane. One of the things I forgot is how long it takes for Melchiah to walk toward these little traps. But you see, you bring these. It's like we said in the first episode. Vampires are hurt by impaling objects, and a lot of these boss fights involve you using environmental elements. You can't actually attack him. If you do, he'll just start laughing at you, which is pretty great. And you can see him phasing through the wall right there to get to me. And oh, I missed him. Okay. Moving on. Yeah, if you try to attack him, he will just laugh at you, which is kind of great. So you have to take in most boss fights, you have to take advantage of environmental elements to take out the boss. And in this one, we start by impaling him on these gates. And this is just gonna take a bit. So, reading any good books lately? I'm reading, I think it's just called Orcs. I forget the author's name. It's really good, though. It's kind of, it's a fantasy novel from an orc's point of view. I've been way into orcs lately. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. A lot of heavy metal stuff in there. A lot of just crazy, like... Oh, there he is. Yeah! We got him. Yeah, so he's just sort of evolved into this fleshy rancor, which is super gross. He's got kind of dark brown hair. So now we have to kind of lure him into this center cage, which isn't that hard. I think he just kind of goes in there once you've hit him a couple times.
Tell me, Melchiah, where can I find Kain?
The Master is beyond your reach, Raziel. He makes himself known when he sees fit, not when commanded.
Grody.
Unreleased.
Now we get his quickening. It's a lot like Mega Man. There can be only one! You can't tell me the people making this weren't huge Highlander fans.
You have done well, Raziel.
Am I reduced to this? A ghoul? A fratricide?
Elevated, Raziel, not reduced. Consuming Melchiah's soul has endowed you with a new gift. Insubstantial barriers such as these are no impediment to you in the spectral realm. Will yourself to pass through, and you shall.
Okay, so I've gained a new ability, which he could use in the physical realm, by the way. Well, actually, he can shift into the spectral realm for short periods of time. Which, maybe I should try more of playing around in those fights and showing you all the different things that they can do. Yeah, he can shift into the spectral realm, so you're not safe in that fight from him just because you go into ghost form. He can still come in there and get you. So he can pass through solid objects, no problem. So now we're gonna do a little backtracking and find some goodies. But first we got a little message from the Elder God.
Return to the sanctuary of the clans, Raziel. Melchiah's soul has endowed you with the means to gain entry. Beware, however. This hollow derelict is abandoned, but not uninhabited.
Abandoned, but not uninhabited. Right, and we just drop down here. And kill some of these dudes. In spite of the camera. And we're about to get a glimpse of a character from Blood Omen 1. So this guy here, this statue, is Napraptor the Mentalist, who was one of the bosses of the first Blood Omen game. I believe he was the first boss of the first Blood Omen game. He sewed his eyes shut so that he could live inside of his mind, basically, after his lover, Ariel, who's also one of the Pillar Guardians, the Guardian of Balance, after she was brutally murdered. And that brutal murder is actually what set into motion the events of Blood Omen 1. And so, yeah, it's kind of cool that they drop this in here. They never actually say him by name, say his name or anything, but if you played Blood Omen 1, you've got it. And so to solve this puzzle, we're basically just trying to make that symbol that's on the wall right there by knocking these pillars over. You can see, yeah, the pillars have a little piece of each part of the symbol. And we got him to open his sewn shut eyes and give us some of his power.
Once acquired, these glyphs empower you with elemental lore. Each spell exacts a sacrifice of energy, however. Use them sparingly and wisely.
So now we have spells that we can cast. These spells aren't particularly useful, and you have very little energy. I don't use them that often, and I don't know. They're still fun. They're still collectible. You could still use them. Just kind of cool, quick screen clearing ability. I just sort of see this one is the force glyph that allows you to just knock your enemies back. And I believe that if there is some kind of like spikes that they could get knocked into, they'll just automatically go to the spikes. If there's water that they can get knocked into, they'll automatically get pushed toward the water. You know, it's just to kind of clear the screen for you. Sort of like, you know, one of those moves in those beat 'em up games that you know, uses some health but clears the whole screen for you. We're gonna move on and get ourselves a little heart piece.
These artifacts enhance your stamina, enabling you to prolong your material manifestation. Gather 5 to complete the emblem, and thereby augment your strength.
Yeah, so like I said, it's basically a heart piece, except you have to find 5 of them instead of 4. You know, just like Zelda. get some health, and we'll make our way. Where is the exit? Ah, there it is. Okay. Yeah. See, I like it when the Slua are like afraid of you. Don't want to go anywhere near you. I prefer that. All right. So now we got to make our way back to the clan, the Sanctuary of the Clans, so we can see what's happened to it. Okay, I just did some fast forwarding there. I did some exploration to see if there's anything else I could access using Melchiah's abilities, and it ended up just being a wild goose chase, so I just went ahead and cut it all out. So, we're gonna go straight to the Sanctuary of the Clans now. And of course, this is the area we ran into in the first episode. We don't really even need to fight these guys. You can just run past them. That's why I don't get why people complain about the combat in this game. Most encounters you don't even need to go through. Unless they're going to be like an inconvenience to what you're trying to do, or if you just need some health. Alright. So now in the spectral realm, we can get right through this gate, get ourselves another heart piece. These dudes up. Yeah, so I have a feeling when we get in the physical realm, this place is going to be guarded by some big dudes. Yep, big dudes. Let's use that new spell we learned. All too easy. Taking advantage of these little items that have popped up throughout the world now. They weren't there before we got ourselves a glyph, so... Hit him right in the beezer with that pottery. Of course, in here it's kind of annoying because there's no torches or weapons. You literally have to take these enemies somewhere and throw them in the water, which can be kind of annoying. There is a way to take weapons with you when you have to go into the spectral realm. And pass through a gate. You can actually throw them through the gate, but you're not supposed to be able to do that. So there is a kind of a trick to it. But yeah, you can totally do it. All right. I'm guessing this is just all one big circle. So in the spectral realm, little loop here. And now it's time to meet our maker, literally.
Raziel,
Kain,
the Abyss has been unkind.
I am your creation, Kain. Now, as before, you criticize your own work. What have you done with my clan, degenerate? You have no right.
What I have made, I can also destroy, child.
Damn you, Kain! You are not God! This act of genocide is unconscionable! Conscience? You dare to speak to me of conscience? Only when you have felt the full gravity of choice should you dare question my judgment. Your lifespan is a flicker compared to the mass of doubt and regret that I have borne since Mortanius first turned me from the light. To know that the fate of the world hangs dependent on the advisedness of my every deed? Can you even begin to conceive what action you would take in my position?
I would choose integrity, Kain.
Look around you, Raziel. See what has become of our empire. Witness the end of an age. The clans scattered to the corners of Nosgoth. This place has outlasted its usefulness. As have you.
The Soul Reaver, Kain's ancient blade, older than any of us and 1,000 times more deadly. The legends claimed that the blade was possessed and thrived by devouring the souls of its victims. For all our bravado, we knew what it meant when Kain drew the Soul Reaver in anger. It meant you were dead.
All right, first boss, or first fight with the big boss here. And throughout the game, fighting Kain is relatively easy. You just have to hit him 3 times, and then he does something, you know, that furthers the plot along. Which is kind of weird when you consider, you know, all the other boss fights in this game are very, you know, puzzle-based and environmental-based. But what are you going to do? Kain's kind of just there to further the plot. And as near as I can tell, those energy beams are not dodgeable in any way. So he just kind of sends you back to the spirit realm every time you hit him. And Kain is voiced by Simon Templeton, who's probably most famous for a series he was in a few years ago called The Neighbors, where he played like an alien who was on Earth disguised as a human. It's a pretty good show if you can track it down. It got canceled a few years back, but you know, it's really cool to see Simon Templeton on TV. He also played the Angel of Death in Charmed. That might be somewhere else that you know him from. And yeah, he's been a veteran of these games since the first one, back when he was shouting "Ve Victus" every other word. That was kind of a thing in the first one. That was the block puzzles of the first Blood Omen. Was him shouting "Ve Victus," and
The blade is vanquished. So it unfolds. And we are a step closer to our destinies.
I swore I saw a glint of satisfaction in Kain's eye when the Soul Reaver was destroyed. I did not understand the game that Kain was playing, but I knew the finishing move.
From this moment and ever afterwards, you and this blade are inextricably bound. Soul Reaver and Weaver of Souls, your destinies are intertwined. By destroying the sword, you have liberated it from its corporeal prison and restored it to its true form, a Reaver blade, its energy unbound. No longer a physical blade, it can only manifest itself in the material realm when your strength is fully restored. Once manifest, it will sustain you.
What are you, little soul? Another of Kain's creatures come to taunt this bound specter.
I did not intend to disturb your rest.
Rest. A body is needed for sleep. Flesh and bones are required to recline. No, child. All I may do is watch and remember, ceaselessly conscious as this wretched world's history unfurls. Ghastly past, insufferable future, are they one and the same? Am I always here?
How have you come to haunt these pillars?
Kain refused the sacrifice. The Pillar of Balance, corrupted to its core, stands as a monument to his blind ambition. Now these pillars serve only to bind me here, my prison and eternal home, thanks to the avarice of your master, Kain.
That bastard can claim no allegiance from me.
Then we share a common foe, Raziel. Return here when you have need. Ariel remembers what others have forgotten.
And so, Ariel basically becomes like another person you can get hints from in the game. And of course we can heal ourselves on these little symbols here.
May you find peace here, Raziel.
And Ariel is voiced by Anna Gunn, who you probably know as Skylar from Breaking Bad. It's very cool.
Far in the eastern mountains, a stifled titan stands in mute surrender, unwilling host to a parasitic swarm.
Of course, her hints are very cryptic, but basically we'll be going to the Silent Cathedral, which is basically a gigantic pipe organ that human beings created to fight vampires, because vampires in this world are also sensitive to sound. At least some of them are. I don't think Raziel is. But I wanted to take a minute to just talk about how you noticed Melchiah changed quite a bit in the time that Raziel was in the Abyss. No, here's using the Soul Reaver as a key. This is something that comes up quite a bit in these games. Metaphorically and literally. So you notice Kain didn't change at all. Melchiah turned into this huge, fleshy rancor-looking thing. And you're going to see other vampires have changed quite a bit over the years, but Kain didn't change at all. And they don't actually come out and say it at any point, but I believe that Kain, maybe like right after throwing Raziel into the Abyss, basically traveled in time to this point. Maybe he gave his lieutenants a couple last orders and then just immediately came to this point. to do this with the Soul Reaver, to make sure that we have the Soul Reaver. And you'll kind of find out later on that in like Soul Reaver 2, for instance, that Kain isn't... Maybe he didn't destroy those pillars just out of... you know, just out of... you know, megalomania, trying to control the world. Maybe he thought there was another way. And maybe when he saw those wings, he thought, like, this is a sign of something else. You know, he seems to be one step ahead of everything that's going on. Seems to be. I don't know, we didn't get much of a continuation of the story, so we never fully find out exactly everything that Kain knows, or everything he's trying to do, but we do get an understanding that he seems to know more than he lets on most of the time. Okay. Yeah, obviously I can't open that. And just making sure we don't miss anything before we leave. It's always good to make sure you're checking everything in these games.
Lies far to the east, beyond the ruins that greeted your first exit from the underworld. He and his brood have cocooned themselves in a derelict cathedral, having murdered its human guardians.
Now, when we get to the cathedral, we're going to find out that maybe he didn't murder all of them. Something very interesting going on in that cathedral, and it's a sort of environmental storytelling that I think is really cool. But we may have to wait until the next episode. We'll show you where we're going, though. Yeah, so Soul Reaver just sort of shattered to pieces when it touched Raziel. That's pretty weird, isn't it? Wonder why that is. I know why that is. But it is kind of cool to have this weapon, and it kind of acts like the Zelda, you know, full hearts, you shoot out a little beam from your sword. It acts like that in the game. If you have full health, you can use it. But I think we're going to call this a show for now. I'm going to go ahead and save Zephod's lair for the next episode. We're going to have some fun in there. There's some fun, like I said, environmental storytelling in there, and it's going to be cool to see. So I hope you'll stick around and you'll like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So peace.